Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Top Bins with Twins. This is Luke here. I am excited to be doing another podcast with Paul. It is, as you can tell by the beanie, it is a chilly day here in, I was going to say the great state of Florida, but don't know how true
Whoa.
that is.
Whoa, Luke.
So,
Let's
before
not go
we
there.
dive into that one, Paul, how are you doing? How's everything going?
God made it through another Monday. So,
There you go.
so here
There you
we
go.
are.
One foot in front of the other. I think the
Here
only
we
people
are.
that really loved this Monday were Sunderland fans. They get
Yeah.
very important 3 points. We're just filming after the finish of that match. They win 3-0. We get a Mukalele assist, which is probably the most
Okay.
relevant FPL return from that game. And Sunderland are moving back up the table again, sitting in eighth place on 36
Uh,
points. You know, they're not too far behind Champions League spots at this point. So maybe
yeah.
they make a push here at the second half of the season. So yeah, but just to give a little context there, kind of where we're sitting as we're recording this episode. But I would say the biggest thing we've got eyes on would be the Carabao Cup semifinal that's going to occur tomorrow on Tuesday
Uh,
for Chelsea versus Arsenal. Obviously, things could change with Man City and with Newcastle, if Newcastle managed to turn it around, but I think Man City has a 3 goal advantage, maybe two, something like that. So, and
well, I
it's back
mean,
at the
they
Etihad.
they totally didn't have the 2 goal advantage yesterday against Spurs either.
True,
So
true.
we'll see.
We'll see what happens there. But yeah, so it's been a very eventful weekend in the Premier League. A lot of a lot of fun matches to watch, I will say. I don't know if you
Mm.
feel the same. Actually, I know you feel the same because we've talked about it. But there was a lot of interesting stuff going on this weekend and some intrigue as well. But we will get into that one. Generally, Paul, how did you feel about this weekend in FPL?
I thought it was a decent FPL week for me. I took a -4, ended on 63 points, so technically
Yeah.
59.
If you want to, we could kind of show those teams if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, we'll just jump into that.
Yep. So we've got a little addition on the pod here where we want you all to be able to see our teams week in, week out. So we're gonna add some slides here for you all to hopefully be able to see our teams, make it a little more interactive. Um,
1 second.
but while we're kind of waiting on that one, as I mentioned, I would heavily advise any FPL managers out there to be very careful about making any early transfers going into, I can see Riverside Paul.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. We are figuring this
Um,
out slowly. It's not letting me
but
do it. We were
I'll
just
keep going until we get that pulled up. But just saying, I would heavily advise anyone out there who's making. There we go. All right, there we go. So to finish that point, though, before we move on to Paul's team, just be careful about making early transfers this week because
Mhm.
we do know that the implications of the Carabao Cup semifinals will cause a double game week for the team that does advance. So
Mhm.
Arsenal potentially could be doubling in game week 26 if they do advance and beat Chelsea tomorrow. They don't even have to beat Chelsea tomorrow. They can just simply have the aggregate win over the two, so they could draw and be fine. So keep
Yeah.
an eye on those matches, and that'll help us make our decisions going forward. But let's go into Paul's team for game week 24.
All right. So everybody can see the standout performer in my team was probably Kelleher with 10 points and goal for Brentford. He's been a really good transfer, even through like these rocky fixtures where they played a Villa team that, or I mean, a Brentford. No, they played Villa away. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
yeah. Brentford played Brentford, and it was no kidding. But so Kelleher is standout. It really sucks to have double Arsenal defense and then only get 9 points out of it with Calafiori subbing in. that was kind of a transfer where I never felt like pivoting from him.
I
And
feel
then
like,
Tim,
that's gonna be a risky one, right? Going into this game week, he plays, I mean, how many did he play in Champions League the week before? I think he
he
played
he like barely subbed
90
in.
minutes.
Oh, in Champions League, no,
Uh,
he played 45. He played the
he
first
he played
45 and then was
half.
subbed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew going into this weekend that Calafiori and Reece James would be a problem. Didn't want to start Nico O'Reilly and had other transfers to make. So just kind of ate that one. My defense, if my defense would have performed this week if I had one other defender contributing, it probably would have been a really big green arrow for me. But
Yeah.
you win some,
Yeah.
you lose some. I brought in both of the United assets in Bomo and Bruno Fernandez. I was on the fence about Cunha and didn't
Oh,
bring him in
no.
this week. So
Oh, that's a bummer.
what, what can you do? And then Enzo with the late winner, Bowen with the early goal, Holland with an assist. And honestly, Thiago probably should have returned, I would say, earlier. There were a
Yeah.
couple moments in that game, where it felt like he probably should have had one-on-ones with the keeper or just didn't finish.
Did you
So
see the
it's a
one
tricky
where
one.
he got the ball played to him and he pretty much just bodied concept, but it looked legally. And then the referee blew his whistle.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I saw that.
Not great. Not
I
great.
saw that. I
Yeah.
to confirm, I did see that. It was really
Yeah.
bad.
You're like, yeah, I
But
saw it. I saw it.
yeah, we'll see where things fall after the McGlady points hit this week, and the dust settles. But not a bad week for me, kind of steadying the ship, and hopefully I can make a couple other changes to my team and get on a good path going forward.
Yeah, no, I like the way your team's shaped up because whether it's Chelsea that double or whether it's Arsenal that double, you have three Arsenal, then two Chelsea. So you're kind of
Hmm.
set up nicely for the double. I will say two of the assets in there are a little questionable. Um,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
agree.
a little worried about how those are going to kind of shake up, especially with X minutes for Calafiori and James. But then again, I do like having them. So, um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
but
I agree. We'll see. Let's take a look at Lucas's team.
yes. So I had a good game week. Very happy with how my team shaped up.
Mhm.
Ended up on 76 points, which was a good game week. The major returners there. I ended up captaining Bruno Fernandez, gets the 10-pointer, two assist, ends up on two bonus. Um, you would really think that if he gets two assists, he's gonna take all three bonus, but it's just kind of how it shook out this game week.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. You would think with Bruno, even like on one assist, sometimes it's like, yeah, he
Yeah.
could be on three bonus.
hmm You would think
Uh,
so. And then my other standout performers of the week, I had Gabriel with his 8-pointer hitting DEFCON, but I think he might have snuck into one bonus. No, he did not. I thought there was a possibility he was going to, but he did not hit any bonus. Then I had
uh,
Florian Wirtz with a 12-pointer. Absolute haul. I mean, he's playing exquisite football right now. He looks like
yeah.
good value for what they paid for him, frankly, right? Because
Hmm.
it feels like he and Ekatike are the heart and soul of that team right now,
Yeah,
especially attacking
I
wise,
agree.
right?
I
They're the
agree
ones that are
completely.
they're the ones who are gonna create the chances and then potentially finish the chances as well. So, um, on top of that, João Pedro subs on at halftime and manages a 10-pointer. That was
God.
quite the incredible return. And here's the thing. All right, so Chelsea have an incredible run of fixtures. It really doesn't get much better than what they have, right? If we look at it upcoming, the Premier League, they have Wolves away, and then it goes Leeds at home, Burnley at home, and then it drops off after that, right?
Yeah.
Going into March, it gets more difficult. They start with Arsenal and then it goes Aston Villa. So more difficult fixtures, but the next three that they have, it doesn't get any better than that, right? Like that is a prime
Hmm.
stretch. So I knew that, right? Bringing in João Pedro, I brought him in for game week 23. Yeah, going into game week 23. And he's been a great pick. He's really
Yeah.
been returning nicely. and I knew he could potentially be benched. So it was one of those things you just kind of roll the dice. Unfortunately, the dice were in my favor, right? With him
Yeah.
being benched and then coming on to get this massive haul, especially for playing 45 minutes. So um
Uh-huh.
then I have Holland's assist and then Jared Bowen with wonder goal, if we want to call it
Sure.
whatever it
Whatever you want
is.
to call it. I'll take the points. That's all that matters.
Hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. So, really
Uh-huh.
good week for me. I did take a -4, so technically on 72 points for the week, but
Yeah.
making up some nice ground, and I should end up around 600K or so after this week. So,
You're
very
climbing,
happy to
Luke.
be in that position. Yeah, and
You got a
just wanna
lot of
continue
momentum.
continue is it rise or fall, right? I mean, it's hard to say, right? As you're dropping
Yeah.
rank, it's better, so you know, but I am happy with where my team's at. As excited about going forward. The only concern I have if we're looking at the team here, I have one out Arsenal asset and I have one Chelsea asset. So that's going to be ever present in the back of my mind whenever we're thinking about the upcoming double game week potentially in game week 26. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, I also have one City asset too. So need to come up with a plan on how to manage that and get ready for that. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
But happy with the how the boys performed this week and looking forward to next week already.
Hmm. For sure.
Yep. Yep.
It's a good week for you,
So
Lucas.
whenever we're looking at this team, there's one Norwegian robot that stands out right now in the FPL discourse that we see everywhere. And that is Erling
Hmm.
Haaland. Um, Holland has really his returns have dried up as of late. If we look at his most recent returns, since game week 17, he scored 1 goal.
Yeah.
His returns are I'm going in sequential order. So game week 24, 5 points. And then it goes 1 point, 2 points, 6 points, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. And then right before that, he had a 16 pointer and a 13 pointer. But
Yeah.
as of now, those returns they're not flowing as quickly as they were in the past. So what we're going to talk about this week is what to do with Holland and how we kind of think is the best way for managers to really keep whether you keep Holland in your team or not. So Paul, if you want to go to that next slide, we've got some stats we can look at here. Um, this is just a quick infographic that we put together. And apologies for the green bar there. That is goals and assist. Couldn't get the goals and assists to show as the data figure. So um, just use
That
that as
looks
a
good.
basis, and that'll tell us exactly, whether or not someone's performing or overperforming their expected numbers. So really quickly, if we look at Bruno Fernandez, and then João Pedro are the main ones. Those are the two that are really overperforming their expected figures here. So um, with that context there, and using this as a basis, Paul, how are you feeling about Holland going into game week 25?
I would say it's a difficult one because Liverpool away is a really tough fixture. Right, give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah, no. So
One
I
second.
would say for game week 25 against Liverpool, that's a fixture that I'd be a little concerned about um, for City because, we have that rivalry there. Earlier in the season, City won that fixture 3-0. That was right in the midst of Liverpool really starting to fall apart in the first place. So
Hmm.
you get a little concerned about that. But then again, Liverpool are in a much different spot than they were. They've evolved and they've really started to figure out what system fits their new players and who is going to be in that system, right?
Yeah.
So there's been some tinkering that's occurred. So I think City will find it to be a pretty difficult match, regardless of Liverpool sitting. I think they're fifth in the table, fourth in the table right now. Yeah,
Hmm.
Liverpool sits sixth in the table. They're 1 point behind Chelsea in fifth. So
Okay.
um, when we look at that, though, I think, I'll hand it back to you, Paul. How are you feeling about that fixture for City against Liverpool?
I think Liverpool are really going to be up for that game. I mean, there's still enough of this Liverpool team remaining from those intense battles they had over the past, like probably like 6 or 7 seasons, where it was City or Liverpool basically every season. And
Mhm,
I just think Liverpool are really going to be up for it. I think we could see TK get a couple. I mean, the City defense is a lot better with Gahey, but I still think you can really get at them as we saw in the Spurs match.
mhm.
And I just feel like the Liverpool midfield is something that's going to be really difficult for Rodri to handle by himself. And if Pep wants to set up in a different way, he can. But I think if he uses the same setup he used against Spurs, they're going to be in a lot of trouble if Rodri's basically by himself in the midfield, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I feel like they could pretty easily overwhelm them. Um, it's gonna be a fun match to watch. I really hope it doesn't turn into a very cagey match because, for one,
It will.
if Liverpool wanna stand any chance of really maybe making a title push, right, like, now's the time to do it. And if you can take 3 points off of City at home and make a statement, I mean, if Liverpool win this coming weekend in Game Week 25, they'll go
Mhm.
on to 42 points, right?
Yeah.
Hypothetically, if United and Chelsea lose, that puts them 4th in the table and really 5 points behind City, you know?
Yeah.
So I think they're out of title contention, but you almost have to view it as you're pushing for that title, right? And
No, for
definitely
sure.
pushing for Champions League, right? Like Champions League is a must-have for them, especially after the spend they had last going into the
Oh
summer.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
So
they have to be pushing for every point this season because it's going to be a failure wherever they end up if they're not
mhm,
top of the Premier League. And
yeah.
I don't think anybody thinks that's happening at this point. But I think Luke for Holland, I think it's a really interesting debate whether you hold him, you sell him, you don't have him, or you buying him at this point. Because I think that essentially, I think we've seen the worst of Holland already this season. I think it's just going to get better from here on out with the
Yeah,
players they
and
have in the team.
look at their upcoming fixtures, for example.
Exactly.
So if we look at Man City, they have Liverpool away. That's a very difficult fixture. But then it goes Fulham at home, Newcastle at home, Leeds away, Forest at home, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Chelsea. There's a bunch of very winnable and matches where I think there's going to be a lot of chances um,
Yeah.
for City and for Holland, most importantly. There is a
hmm
dynamic here that I think we need to keep an eye on, though, is bringing in Semenyo. I think that could impact Holland's goals scored year over year, right? Like on an
Yeah.
annual basis. Obviously, there'll be
And
fluctuations throughout the course of a season, but Semenyo's not someone who necessarily creates a crazy amount of chances for other players.
mhm.
He's there. Oh, dinner time for West. Um,
That's funny.
but
I didn't hear anything.
Sorry, Semenyo is there to finish chances. So I'm
hmm
not sure how that dynamic's going to work out between Semenyo and Holland. Something for us to keep an eye on. But
hmm
I do think selling Holland is really playing with fire. You're
I agree.
asking to I mean, his ownership is currently 71.1%. And his
Yeah.
effective ownership, so, as we've talked about many times, effective ownership, you're just adding the captaincy plus the ownership gives you effective ownership on a flat rate. But for
hmm
effective ownership, Holland's effective ownership was the lowest it has been since game week 16.
Yeah.
So that means people were not captaining him, along with transferring him out going into this game week. I would just be very careful. It's much different missing a Holland Hall if you have him in your team and you don't captain, as opposed to just not having him at all, right?
Yeah.
That will absolutely murder your rank. If Holland goes crazy this weekend and gets 2 or 3 goals, you don't stand a chance of having a really nice green arrow. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but then again,
It's so
go
tough.
ahead, go ahead. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, Luke, that I mean, like you're exactly right that like I if you would have jumped off the Holland ship in game week 17 after they beat West Ham and they had 16 points, people would have said you were
Hmm.
crazy, right? They said, why would
Yeah.
you take Holland out? And then over the next 8 game weeks, he doesn't get over 6 points.
Right.
And that let's
Right.
see. I mean, obviously there were points in the season earlier on where he had like lower scoring weeks, but it was every time he had a low scoring week, there was a high total afterwards or 2 weeks
Yeah.
after. He was
Hmm.
consistently hitting those high numbers. I mean, he hasn't been able to do it. But the question I have for you, Luke, is let's
Yes.
say you're somebody that does want to take Holland out of your team, right? Where
Yeah.
do you allocate those funds? Like, because I mean that gives you so much more money to play with. And just to be clear, I mean it is a huge risk, like you were saying, for all the reasons earlier. But you also can, with that money, you can do so many other things. So what do you think?
So if people are dead set on wanting to get rid of Holland and they feel like that's the right
Mhm.
choice for their team, the player that I would recommend people going to, and this might seem like it has some recency bias incorporated into it, and it might, but I think Ekatike is the next step to go to, right? If you're going to
Yeah.
move on to someone else, the hardest thing about getting rid of Holland, though, if you currently have him, is we really are not fighting for budget, right? There's space in our teams to where it's not like we have to get rid of Holland to enable someone else that we have to have, right? You can make some
Mhm.
other moves around the edges and get to Bruno Fernandes. Or if you think Cole Palmer is for you, you can make some moves around the edges and get to Cole Palmer. Not that I'm advocating for that. But the
Yeah.
example being that Holland is someone that if Salah was playing great, if Palmer was playing great, if Saka was just fit and scoring goals and getting assists week over week, then we could really have this conversation. But I don't see any need to have to get rid of Holland, right? It
Yeah.
just seems
Yeah.
like it's reactionary and it just makes it really difficult to even just get back to him after that. So um I definitely worry about that a little bit. But on the other end of things, I really think that Ekatike is a good option. He's
Yeah.
someone that's pretty easy to get to. Um, Here, Paul,
Mhm.
continue for a second. I gotta let the dog out real quick. So he's barking at
No,
the door.
I think another kind of point within that, Luke, is that it's just absolutely crazy from the point we were at last season. If you just look at game week 20, going into game week 25 last year, you would think it was absolutely insane a season on if just the only choice wasn't going from Holland to Salah if you were taking Holland out. And it just shows that, I mean, like Ekatike, I think, like Luke was saying, I think he's a great option in that forward line. I know that Liverpool in the next, let's pull up their fixtures here real quick. So we can look at those. Obviously, they play City. They play City at home, and then it goes. Let's see. Yeah, so it goes. It's a little difficult. So we go City at home, Sunderland away, Nottingham Forest away, and then it gets better. They go West Ham at home, Wolves away, Tottenham at home, Brighton away.
Mhm.
So I mean, if you're looking at Liverpool assets, I would say if you have them, hold them. And I mean, don't do anything insane at this point. But I mean, things get a lot better. I mean, Nottingham Forest away is a tougher fixture than it was earlier in the season. But after that, things really open
Mhm.
up for them in game week 28, and it gets like you're going to see Ekatike from probably game week 28 to 34. He's really going to shoot up and have a lot of price rises. Verts will probably have price
Yeah.
rises and go up in
Mhm.
percentage of ownership. So we'll see that from the
Verts.
Liverpool assets.
I expect
Yeah,
Verts to continue to skyrocket, and I think there were a fair amount of managers that got rid of him going into Newcastle at home, which I saw as a
for sure.
great fixture. I frankly should have thought of captaining him, right?
Yeah,
That would have been the
yeah.
best captain pick in my team this week. But the people who had Ekatike and Verts in their team for game week 24
Oh yeah.
absolutely feasted. It must be
Mhm.
said, though, that they did suffer with Ekatike over the last couple weeks. right? It's very
Yeah.
similar to Thiago, how a player goes through a dry spell and then they really break out of it at the same time. So
Yeah.
you
I
just
mean,
got to keep this in
Ekitike was
mind.
also injury concerns. He was in and out of the lineup, that kind of thing. If he would have been playing, he probably still would have been delivering in most of the
Yeah,
games, I'd say.
I agree. If we look at these for game weeks 15 to 24, the X leaders that we have here on this chart for those who are watching this on YouTube, um, we can see that Ekitike has an XG of 6.69 and with 8 goals and assists, right, combined. He's not creating a lot of chances, but he's getting a lot of chances. And he's
Yeah,
finishing them, right? Like, he's overperforming his numbers, as we can see here on the figure. And I think that this is one of those things where if he's on the pitch, he's gonna be a really great option to have in our teams. So it's
for
just
sure.
something we have to remind ourselves about, that getting him into our teams is something that could be good long term. You just have to be willing to take the bumps of him potentially maybe not starting or, for whatever, maybe an injury risk as well. So, just
For
something to
sure.
keep in mind there when we're looking at
Yeah.
Liverpool. But some other noteworthy players on this figure that I think we need to talk about. Bruno Fernandes is vastly overperforming, especially his expected assist. Um, it's pretty crazy. I think he has, through the course of this time, 3 goals and 7 assists. And those
Yeah.
7 assists have come on, I think, around an XG of what does that say? 5.65. So
Yeah.
he's really overperforming in that category. But whenever we think about it, yeah, I gotta go get the dog. Sorry. He's barking at the neighbors. I'll be right back.
I think I'm like, but I think a really good thing to highlight for that though is that United have this season been a lot better about creating chances. And with their attack, I mean, think about the assist that Bruno had to Cunha at the end of the Arsenal match, and then also the one against Versevsko this weekend. I mean, United just have a team of attackers that are a lot more clinical than they were last season. And that's kind of why, I mean, like Mbomo and Cunha last season were two of the biggest XG overperformers. You add those kind of people to a team with somebody that's a creative force like Bruno, and he probably is going to overextend past what the numbers would say at a certain point because he's passing the ball to people that really just make the most of their chances. So I really
No.
like it. I
Yeah, I
mean,
agree.
I know we talked about at the beginning of the season that United did make some really good transfers in their attack, and you're
Mhm.
starting to see that those
Yeah.
players they can play in a certain way, the typical United fashion of catching people on the counter and being very direct in attacks. Because I mean, when you have those profiles, it makes it a lot easier to
Mm. But
pull off those actions. You
importantly
know?
importantly, it also feels like the shackles are almost off a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Because the structure they were playing, how they tactically set up was
I am
very rigid for those players. And it really
for
didn't
sure.
allow them to use their abilities as they should, right? Like their strengths, right? They were more
Yeah,
using their weakness. Like Bruno Fernandez playing deeper. You see what Amarim's doing, right? He wants a playmaker playing deeper who can also defend a little bit, but it just didn't
for sure.
click. But now that Bruno's
Yeah,
playing farther up the pitch, we can see a difference, right? It's better for everyone else whenever he's at the heart of driving the attack forward. So, yeah, no, I think I completely agree with you, Paul. Having the signings they have and now being in the right hands has really gone a long way for their team.
for sure.
Um, and I mean, currently they're sitting in fourth in the table. I wouldn't be shocked if United finish in Champions League, right, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Just because they have the talent, right? They recruited well, um, and it looks like they're really kind of starting to connect the dots a little bit.
The question you have to ask though, Luke, is that you have two teams, Chelsea and Liverpool, and we can probably assume, I'd say, where the Premier League is currently, Europa League, and then also in the Champions League at the moment. The Premier
Mhm.
League will probably once again have that fifth spot for the qualification, just for the points.
Right,
So you
right.
probably are looking at top five, and to me, I would guess unless Brentford and Sunderland both really keep performing, you're probably going to see six teams at the top: Liverpool, Chelsea, and United, and possibly
Yeah.
Villa too. If they keep under, if the XG gods don't keep vastly overperforming, you're going to see them probably drop down a little bit, and it's going to be four teams fighting for three spots, which will be fun for Champions
Hmm.
League.
Yeah, it will
So
be.
we'll see how that goes, but yeah, hopefully Brentford and Sunderland push, and then Fulham's at 34 too, 6 points behind Chelsea. Maybe they can enter into the conversation too.
Yeah, I've got a little gremlin that has a sock. That's what West's favorite thing to do. So I need to get that from him. But
That's his
so
mo.
Paul, if you want to scroll to the next tab that we have here, this kind of
Mhm.
highlights the results from this game week. Um,
Yeah,
and while all of these are equally, not equally, all very important. Sorry, he's
yeah.
putting on a show for me, throwing the sock in the air. But,
Of course he is.
the most noteworthy fixtures here, and the first one we should start with, I think, is Arsenal and Leeds. Do you want to kind of run that down for the listeners, Paul, and kind of the important FPL implications of this? I think Sock is an important note here, and then maybe Madueke as
Hmm.
someone to look at for the double. So,
Yeah, yeah. So Arsenal, before their fixture, Saka was kind of pulled out of the warm up. I think he felt something. We're not sure exactly where, and I think they were really the medical team. All they were being very cautious with with Saka for this game. So pulled him out of the lineup. Madueke subs in. He gets his first Premier League goal, which they retroactively gave to him after the match because it was a corner. He gets an assist. Arsenal did open up the game with an open play goal. I will highlight just so the corner FC allegations aren't too strong in this game, but two goals off corners again, and then a Jesus goal to shut it down towards the end of the match. Really, a really good Arsenal performance. As somebody that owns Gabriel, love to see the clean sheet locked up. At this point, not having double Arsenal defense does feel like it is going to really hurt, even if you just have the one defender. So it
yep,
could be
yep.
a possibility to just always have two going forward for the rest of the field. Depends on how you want to play the game. I would also say a note. I mean, the Chelsea West Ham fixture, a crazy game. Honestly, just to
Oh
watch, to
man,
enjoy. I mean,
absolutely insane.
the
Yeah, it was
brawl at
crazy.
the end. I think Cucurella is still
Job.
flying.
Can we can we
he's still
focus on
he's
the
still
the
sliding.
meme moment of João Pedro just
Oh my
decide,
god.
at that moment when he realizes I'm gonna die if this guy really comes at
Yeah.
me. Oh,
Yeah.
and I will say, Tadibo also looked like he was ready to murder during that brawl. He
Yeah.
just you could
Yeah.
tell the haze went over, man, and he was after he was getting after it. And it's really
Hmm.
kind of a shame, right? Because I feel like he timed that at the exact wrong time because West Ham then have a set piece on a corner, right? And then one of their big bodies gets taken out of the game, right? If they have all 11
Yeah.
men and Tadebo's pushing, I mean, he's good on corners too. I don't think he has a lot of goals to show for it, but he's a bigger body. Um, so it was poor timing there for West Ham because they could have
Yeah.
potentially equalized there and gotten a point out of that.
But still,
So,
a crazy watch. And then Chelsea scores three goals in the second half to
mhm.
secure the 3 points. We
So,
also had
Paul,
Liverpool scoring four
wait,
goals.
wait, wait,
Go
let's go
ahead.
back.
Go
Let's
ahead.
go back real fast. My question to you, and this will kind of help frame it for our listeners out there. Who do you think is the best Chelsea asset to have? Because, and I'll narrow it down for you. I'll give you three choices and you pick from there. Do you think it's João Pedro? Do you think it's Enzo Fernandez? Or do you think it's Chalaba? Which one stands out the most to you?
I would say Jean Pedro. He's just in one of those run
Okay.
of forms, where he's not currently in my team. And I probably won't be going there this week. Not 100% sure. But it's one of those where, I mean, every time he scores a goal, it just kills me. Like, it kills me in my
Yeah.
mini league. It
Yeah.
kills my overall rank. I have Enzo in my team now, so seeing that late goal was really good. He's just, I
Yes.
mean,
Hmm.
he's
Although the yellow
performing at
card.
a top level. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, fair. I mean, I'm just glad it wasn't two yellows. Whenever in our group
Yeah.
chat with Kyle, Luke was like, "Oh, that's his second yellow," and I was like, "I'm gonna smash
I
my
thought
phone."
it was. I thought he got booked earlier on because the announcers were talking about how he's a little petulant at times, and he undoubtedly is. He can be quite the frustrating player to watch at times, but
Yeah,
nevertheless, he didn't get booked for that second yellow. So, well, he didn't get the first one. So that was my bad there. Didn't mean to freak you out on that one, but
no, it's
yeah,
okay.
João
It's
Pedro's been
okay.
so good. He returned 10 points this week. The week before it was 12 against Crystal Palace, and then it was
That's
8 the week before against Brentford. So he, over the course of that, he's gotten 30
wow.
points in 3 weeks. So he's averaging 10 points per
Yeah,
game
it's
week,
crazy.
which is
Hmm.
much better than a lot of players out there. He's definitely probably, I don't know the exact numbers, but he's got to be one of the top scorers over those 3 game weeks. So, um,
I'd say
yeah,
he's up there. What
definitely.
other? Look, I know we've already kind of touched on Liverpool. We touched on United,
Mhm.
the Brentford Villa game. Um, I mean, what else out to you about this FPL weekend? Just briefly,
So I think Creepy Jr. getting a goal is very noteworthy. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It was a beautiful
that's a good,
half
really
volley
good
from
goal.
him. Just some really nice,
Yeah.
intricate play between him and Adley. And the dip he puts on that shot is incredible. I mean, the skill just he's a real talent. Go check it out if you haven't seen it.
Hmm.
But I think that's noteworthy.
Yeah.
He's currently priced at 4.6 million, I believe. Um, and if he's gonna be returning goals, he's almost a must-have because that is frankly the best value pick we're gonna get this year. Yeah, he's currently at 4.7 with 5.9% ownership. Over the past couple of weeks, he's returned 7 points, 1 point, 2 points, and then 7 points before that. So, um, we can
Yeah.
feel good that he's gonna be getting the minutes to return, and I really like Bournemouth's fixtures going forward. They probably have the best medium-term run out of any team out there. So, hop on the Bournemouth bandwagon. I did bring in Jimenez this week as a part of my -4, and he had multiple chances
Yeah.
to score as the right back and just didn't convert the
Yeah.
chances. But if you all are so inclined, I think he's a great pick. He did get yellow carded, but also got the clean sheet. So I'll take the 5 points from
Yeah.
him, but he had an XG of 0.03, um, so not that great of an XG, but he also was in
I
really
was
great
about to say, look,
chances.
Are you
He was
trying to prove your point or disprove your point?
I'm trying to make sure his ownership stays low.
There
No,
you
not
go.
really, but, Bournemouth, very interesting team to keep an eye on going forward. Outside of that, I think, the other 2 players that I would really mention to keep an eye on. First off is Malay Sarr with Crystal Palace. He ends up taking the pin. Palace drew 1-1 with Forest, as we can see here. But Sarr taking penalties makes him a really interesting option for us because
Yeah.
he's currently priced at 6.3 million. So he's very cheap. And the fixtures are really good for Palace I mean, all the way up till game week 33.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got a sock thief eyeing some socks. Can't let him get to him.
West is in prime form tonight.
Oh yeah, he's very angry. So, um, yeah, but I think looking at the team there, Palace, we'll see how they start playing, but I think that going forward, they're going to be a team that we could really hop on the bandwagon. Munoz, someone that I also would think would be a really good pick for people to go to as well,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
we always know
Always.
he's going to be in and around creating chances and then potentially finishing chances too.
Yeah. No,
And
I couldn't agree
important
more.
to note, Crystal Palace just bought Strand Larson from Wolves. We also
Hmm.
know that Munoz really benefited from having that figurehead of a striker to interplay with and to cross chances to. And I think both could
Yeah.
really benefit from their potential relationship there. So keep an eye on that one. The other player that I wanted to mention We all know that I'm a big fan of this player. Dominique Solanke scores 2
Yeah,
goals. Maybe one of them shouldn't have counted as a Solanke goal, but it was still given.
I
He
would say so.
it was definitely a foul, I think. He went through Gahey to get to that ball. I don't even sure Solanke touched it, frankly. I think he just kicked Gahey's leg, which kicked the ball then, but they counted as a Solanke goal for whatever reason. So, um, he's priced at 7.2 million, so he's really expensive. But if we look from game week 31 all the way to the end of the season, going to game week 38, Spurs have a really good fixture run, and Kudus will be back at that point. So I think if we want to pencil in
Yeah.
Solanke or Kudus for later on in the season around 31, which is really not that far away. Kind of crazy that it's
No,
it's
it's
really
not.
yeah. And I just realized, apologies. These are game week 24 results, not game week 25 results. Just put that together real quick. But yeah.
Wait, what
So
are you
we'll keep
saying, Luke? No, this is.
in the infographic. It says game week 25 results
Oh, I see at the top. Yeah.
in gold. In
Apologies,
gold,
everyone.
yeah, yeah.
Game
We're
week.
just getting ready for
Just
next week.
imagine it says a four.
We're
Yeah,
getting ready for
yeah.
next
We're
week.
we're just
So
preparing.
Solanke is someone to keep an eye on, though. I think he's an interesting pick,
Yeah, I like
um,
that. I mean,
but
I
maybe a
would
little
say, I
further down the
mean,
road.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not using my Arsenal. My Arsenal hat is not on right now. But going towards Spurs, I would at least. We should have a good time frame. I agree with you. Like game week 31, if they're looking a lot better, if they have players that are healthy, could be a
Mhm.
good option. He Solanke was great for Bournemouth a couple of years ago. Luke literally has every single share of stock in the Solanke markets right now. So he's really hoping there's some movement, but I think he could be a decent pick. I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket, though.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Um, but we'll see how that
We'll just
goes.
have to see.
I
We'll
His
see.
second goal was
Yeah.
incredible, right? Anyone who says he didn't
Oh no,
mean
yeah,
to put that on frame, completely disagree with it. I think it was intentional. Whether
no,
or not
he
it's
for
going
sure
near
did.
post or far post, I don't know if he knew that one, but he got it on frame, and that's all that matters. So, props for that goal.
Well,
It's a
I
beautiful
think it's one of
finish.
those things where where he just sees the ball and he has the idea. He's tried that in training and he pulls it off.
Hmm.
It was
Right,
I
right, exactly.
honestly probably one of the goals of the season.
Oh, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, level of difficulty is extremely high on that one. So, um, yeah,
Yeah,
those are really like the two players that kind of stood out to me this week outside of everyone else we talked about. I feel
yeah,
like, looking at the FPL landscape right now, for us to kind of bring it to a close here, we're at a very interesting time in the season because we can feel the fixture congestion has taken its toll on teams. And we're seeing injuries to players. We're also seeing the transfer window open up. A lot of Premier League teams have spent money in the window, not like they did in the summer, but bringing in pieces to close out the rest of the season where they might
for
have
sure.
injuries or they feel like they're going to lose players. So we should keep an eye on the players coming into teams. I think Strand Larson at 6.1 million is a very, very intriguing pick, especially because Mateta is going to be done for the rest of the season. He had surgery today, or not today, but he's going to have surgery on his knee. So he'll be out for an extended time. So Strand Larson
Which
is someone to keep an
honestly
eye on.
makes a
Go ahead.
lot of.
Yeah,
I was just saying it makes a lot of sense if you've watched Mateta over the last 2 months. Like
it
that
does.
would
It
explain a lot
does.
because he just hasn't been the same player. Oh, go ahead, sorry,
No, he
Luke.
hasn't been. No, but you're good. You're good. I think, there's it's going to be tough to figure out if he's going to be a good fit. And hopefully Crystal Palace can continue to get some points because I mean they're sitting at 29 points. They're 9 points above the relegation line, right? Above the drop zone. So
Yeah,
they've got to be careful. As long as they manage it. I mean, if they get if they win next week and the teams above them don't do that much, they could be back up to the 13th or 12th. So it's just one of those you need to see the results kind of starting to come in, and I think that, they'll be ready to do that, so with these signings, I hope.
yeah.
But,
Let's hope so.
outside of that, though, I think it was a pretty fun game week for everyone out there because there was a lot of variance in returns across the board for FPL managers. Um, and we saw a lot of really big returns, but from players who aren't necessarily really highly owned. So it allowed us to be able to kind of survive the game week while still having some pretty good returns as well. Anytime Holland semi blinks, it's always going to make the average a lot lower. So, yeah, but that is pretty much it for the game week. I think that we probably learned a lot and we'll be ready to go into game week 25. When we go into game week 25, we'll have a lot more information about where our teams need to go for the future. So, um, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. We'll keep you all updated. So be sure to follow us on our social media platforms, whether that's X or Blue Sky, posting on Reddit
we
here every
forgot to
once in a
do
while.
this. We
Do
forgot
what?
to do it at the top of the pod again. So we forgot to spam
Oh,
our socials at the top of
the
the pod
the
again.
like and subscribe. Yeah, yeah.
God.
So, um, yeah, it's okay though. It's all right. So,
I mean, everybody
but
listens
with
to the
that,
end, so it's fine.
yeah, they do. They do. It's very impressive. It's very impressive. Yeah, but I think I'm all out of thoughts there. So that'll probably bring us to the end of the podcast. Paul, any final thoughts for our listeners?
No, just be aware of those doubles. I think those are really good weeks to kind of maximize points, but also it's not a double game week isn't worth taking a negative 16, to set your team up
Says
perfectly for and
says the
then
guy
detract
who was
from.
talking who was talking about a -8.
Well, that's not 16, duh.
Yeah, okay. It's
But
half of 16.
yeah, exactly. It's half. But I do think like maximizing the doubles is really smart, but you don't want to do it while also sacrificing what you've already built with your team. So just
Yeah,
use nuance there. Everybody's team setup is different, but yeah, I think there's some new FPL assets that are kind of like reinvigorating themselves. So it's an exciting time to be playing FPL.
it is. It is. As we talked about, we would encourage you all to be very careful with your transfers. Don't rush to any transfers early on before the deadline because we'll see a lot of movement between now and the game week 25 deadline because of the upcoming fixture doubles and potential blinks. So be sure
Yeah.
to be careful there. But outside of that, I think that's great advice, Paul. And yeah, that's going to do it for us. So thank you all for joining for another episode of Top Bins with Twins. It's been a pleasure, Paul, and we will talk with you all soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.